All right, Michael. So it's November. Leads are down, I'm assuming. Talk to me about how things are going for you guys.
Yeah, I mean it's that we in this industry we all know this time of year things get slow. It's
Hmm.
always been that way. Yeah, I think somewhat the last few years we have all been a little I don't know, maybe lulled into think that like winter isn't a slow time of year. Times are really good, and I think this year economy is maybe at least back to normal. Depending on where you're at, you're probably calling it a recession. Yeah, hopefully people have been planning for this for a few months. I know we have been, but it's always a little scary this time of year as we head into the holidays, and what happens after that is really that really slow first quarter of the year.
For sure. Yeah. And I think, like I've told you before, I mean, everybody seems to know, October 15th hits. And at least the people that knew me when, running the painting business, it's like, oh, October 15th, Jon, he's anxious, he's stressed, the leads are down, sales are down, and you're kind of coming off this high of the summer. And I think we all get a little complacent, a little like, hey, things are good, everything's good. And we turn some of this stuff off. We forget how to really work hard at things. It's the seasonal business, like it's and without that preparation, I think a lot of people are feeling it. I hear it all the time, and I know you do too. That people are feeling the urgency, feeling that stress, and it's hard. So I think
Oh yeah,
today we want to talk about those things you can do to now to generate leads. We've narrowed it down to I think 7 or 9. What do we got here? Let me look at our list. Yeah, we got nine things you can do today to really hone in your leads and start to get that momentum back for your business and feel like you have control, right? I think that's a lot of the feeling is just you don't have control. It stresses you out. You have people that work for you. So yeah, let's
for sure.
you up for that? Up for chatting about that?
100%. Yeah, I think,
Cool.
I've heard before, like with action comes at least a feeling of control,
Hmm.
right? And I think hopefully what we're going to accomplish today, anybody that's able to listen in, get some benefit from this, is these are some action items. These are some things that, business owners, sales reps, marketing pros that are working at painting companies can go and do today to start to generate some leads for the next week, the next month, and certainly as the winter goes here for the next like 3 to 6 months or so.
Totally.
Yep.
So the first thing you do is you start with a nap, then you go for a walk, then you smoke a dart, right? That's kind of that's
Yeah,
the
there's
method first, and then you get into the
well,
stuff.
yeah, maybe a bourbon gets mixed in at some
A
point,
bourbon,
but
yeah. Get a bourbon, relax, take it down a few notches, and then number
it's
one,
got to be
what's the
okay.
first? What's the first thing we're doing? We're what what are we gonna do? We've taken the edge off. What are we doing? I think the first thing, at least in my opinion, is follow up on past bids. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, hopefully that's something we're always doing, right? But let's be honest, we're not.
Hmm.
We don't. I think every business owner, sales rep, especially in, painting industry, I would say home services, that our, effort when it comes to following up on leads goes up and down kind of throughout the year. And, unfortunately, like in the summer, if we're being honest, we probably aren't doing that enough. We're busy, whatever. Um, we need to do that. That's
Hmm.
something we need to be doing for sure.
So how do you do it? Like, what's the first thing you're
Yep.
telling your reps to do to follow up on a lead? Or I guess on a on a
Yeah.
on a sale, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about lead
Yeah.
generation, but these are leads that are already in the pipeline. So what are we doing to really, follow up with them?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important, right? Before we do have some things on the list here of like, how do we get more leads? But one of the things we want to make sure we're doing is, are we doing everything we can with the leads we're getting?
Hmm.
We have to be aggressive. Um, and, what we're talking about is, much more follow up, much more frequent and different ways. It's okay if customers are going to say no. It's not okay if we don't get a response.
Hmm.
Um, you know, if we're utilizing different, text message, email, phone calls, all of the above, we're telling our sales reps, you know, if you're in the neighborhood or nearby, uh, recent bid, stop in, knock on the door, let them, see where things are at. Don't let somebody, just kind of ghost you or ignore you.
for
How about you
sure.
guys? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the same. I mean, it's there any answer is a good answer, but we want to put our best foot forward to get the answer
Hmm.
we want. And so we this time of year it's about deal making in a lot of cases,
Hmm.
What's it going to take? Let's get an answer. We want to work with you, and it's asking for that sale. So all those things kind of play into it. I think, from a level of urgency, using the methods you talked about, starting with an email, hey, just want to see where you're at, moving that to a text, to a call, to a home visit, as you kind of, ratchet up the urgency. But we can't accept a non-answer here. They showed interest in painting, so let's help them, how to help them get that done, and we want to be the contractor. So I think that's the message we're giving our teams, and
Hmm.
um, and trying to move that forward to something. So at least we know. And I think it's pretty easy in the summer when there's plenty to just neglect a few. Now's not the time, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably talk. There's hour-long podcasts, books written on following up and the whole
Mhm.
sales process. I don't think we're going to cover that today, but one of the things that we try to talk a lot about is you can't lose something you don't have, and I think like that's a um, mindset, I guess, that can happen this time of year. It's like,
Mhm.
man, I'm afraid if I push on that customer too hard, I'm gonna lose that sale. I don't
Mhm.
want to be too aggressive. I don't want to be too salesy and pushy. It's like you don't have anything to lose. You don't have it.
Right.
Um, you
Right.
know, I like to talk about like with our sales reps, my experience, I'm busy, right? I think most of us as business owners and, I've got this, two young kids, right? Similar, I think to your story where it's like, we're all the time running around doing stuff.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, it's like when I'm looking to get some work done at my house, I need somebody to solve that problem for me. Um, if you're waiting for me to call you back, um, I, sometimes I don't, right?
Mhm.
And the sales rep that's going to earn my business is the one who's aggressive. Take that off my plate. Make this easy for me. If you don't hear from me, it doesn't mean I'm not interested. It just means I was busy and
Mhm.
like the timing wasn't right and I forgot about it. So, bug me the next day.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we talk about with our reps a lot is that, you know, like that's your job. Get this project, help the customer get this project done.
Mhm. Yeah, it's about helping, right? I think the word aggressive, just to clarify, like I think what you're saying, like we don't want to be hard sellers or aggressive. Nobody appreciates that from a sales perspective. But what we want to do is we want to be direct about getting the answer. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you called me. What are we doing here? Let's just get that. Like, I want to help you. Am I being too much? Like, am I being too much of a pest or too much here? Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to do that. But like, you contacted us. I just want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to help you. Like, that's a
Yeah.
message that
Yeah.
resonates. And I'm the same way. Like, yeah, the person who is the most proactive in getting an answer from me, I will oftentimes work with that person. It's
Hmm.
just inevitable because I've got too many other things, too many other calls to make versus that one.
Yeah.
So cool.
I don't call sales reps to come over to my house because I just want somebody to chat with. Yes, like I do need to get a quote or get a price, but
Hmm.
a lot of times like I can get a pretty good idea of what something's going to cost just looking around online and whatever, talking to some friends. When
Yeah.
I get to the point that I'm asking sales reps to come to my house, it's like I need somebody to solve this problem.
Right.
And again, that's where I want our sales reps to take that seriously. They've spent the time at the customer's house, and I believe they're owed at least a conversation. Um,
Totally.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think like a really quick anecdote from my life is that I had a leak in my roof in the basement of my house, and I had to get the drywall work done. I got an estimate 2 years ago, and I just got it done. Was it because I didn't need it? No, that hole has been there the whole time. My wife reminds me of it all the time. But it was that it took me taking another step. Whereas if the people we had gotten estimates from had called us, we probably would have hired them.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah,
just get it done. What's
right.
the price? Let's get this done. So,
Yeah,
um, but anyway, so yeah, that's
100%.
it. So that's number one, I think. Should we move to number two?
Let's do it.
Okay. So number two, we're saying call, email, send out a carrier pigeon to past customers, and I think
All of
that's
the above.
all the above, all the above. So what's the message this time of year? What are we telling people?
I mean, I think to be honest with you, it's like I think we can be honest with our past customers and say, hey, we're slow. We've got a hole in our schedule. Maybe it's the whatever the second week of December we can get you in. and we can get this project done for you. What kind of, what can we do at your house to get you ready for the holidays? Things like that um, are great. Add some value, let people know, maybe you're normally booked out for a month or two, but, hey, it's their lucky day. We can get you done in a couple weeks, things like that.
Totally. That message about the holidays it really resonates with people, I think. And um, again, this subject comes with like, levels of urgency. I think an email blast is, number one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
here's our message. Here's what we're going out with. Number two might be a text. Hey, just want to check in. I think third level of urgency again is, call. Hey, not sure if you saw, but we're trying to fill our schedule. Um, and I think, by doing that, you're gonna see results, and also just know what the next step is. I think a lot of people struggle with that, feeling overwhelmed with this feeling, like of not having control. And it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to just kind of, sit back and feel sorry for the situation. But you got to take control. Each one of those steps requires effort, but it's actually not that hard. The message again, it's the holidays coming up. Can we help you? And move
Yeah.
on, step it up, rise to the occasion. So I would say for us, like, that's what we're always telling our reps. And um, that seems to give them something to do each week. It's about action.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Again, it's, let's say we make 100 calls. Do we expect that we're going to get a lot from that? No, probably not.
mhm,
But, it's that sense of control. We're taking action, we're moving forward,
mhm,
and we might get one or two. And we never know when the one of those might be a big project that,
mhm.
really helps to get us over the hump.
Have you tried carrier pigeons, by the way?
I haven't. No, I really, I got to look into that.
I'm telling you, I think people are going to respond. I think that's one
Yeah.
area we haven't tried.
Interesting.
It's going to get the
Interesting one.
response we're looking for.
One of the things, we didn't really talk about it before, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about referral partners in a minute, but ask past customers for referrals. I mean,
Mhm,
again, something we can talk so much about, and it's probably its own, episode or whatever, but I think that's an opportunity here. We're
mhm,
reaching out to past customers, say thanks. Hey, just want to say thanks. We appreciate you having us out. We've got an opportunity here if you need something done, or do you know anybody that needs something done?
mhm,
Has anybody recently moved into your neighborhood? Oftentimes, when somebody moves into the neighborhood, they're looking to get some painting work
mhm,
done. You know, one of the things I've heard and learned in the past is when you're asking for referrals, like, ask for something specific.
mhm.
Don't just ask like, who do you know that needs some painting done? That's really hard. But if I can ask, hey, who recently moved into your neighborhood, or things like that, it can activate the brain to go, oh, actually, whatever. John and Susie down the street just moved in. I don't know. They might need something done. I'll reach out to them and see.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, one thing that we saw work for us a couple of years ago was that when things were slow, we would reach out to past customers with an offer, and that would help us get in front of them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the offer was, hey, we did your project 2 years ago. We bet there's some touch ups. Um, are we off
Good.
base? We're doing a free hour of free. We're doing an hour of free touch ups for any of our customers. That's just part of our warranty program. Would you have any interest?
Mm-hmm.
And that email generated about, I think it was 40 hours of touch-ups. And they're individual touch-ups, they're annoying, but you'd be surprised at how many houses we went into where someone's like, actually, I need another room done.
Yeah.
I think it was something like 85%. Um,
But
and so it was a great loss leader for us just to get the guys moving. It was good training hours. It was a good time to actually be with your customers in a way that was really positive. You're not trying to sell them. We just know that life happens. So let's help you with that.
yeah.
So, if you can find little creative ways like that to really benefit your customers, um,
Mm-hmm.
I think when you think about the customer first, it shows versus I need
Yep.
something like I need work, I need work, I need work. Well, yeah, sure you do, but what can you do to help that person out
Mm-hmm.
and lead to, that reciprocity effect that happens.
Yep.
So, so
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from Zig Ziglar is, "You can get everything you want out of life if you're just willing to help enough other people get everything they want."
exactly.
And that really reminds me of that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Give first. Yep.
You first.
Love
Yeah.
it.
So cool. All right, man.
Like,
Number three. Um, Number three is an
yeah.
interesting one. I mean, reaching out to referral partners. I think this was your, a big thing for you. Talk about what you guys do. How does this work? And, um, you know, what steps are you taking now when it's like this, when leads are
Mhm.
low? What are you telling these people?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, I think it's, similar to what we just talked about, right? Like when we're asking for help, hopefully we've been contributing to that bank, if you will. We've been making those deposits throughout the year, providing others with referrals. We like to participate in our local BNI groups and things like that. So we've got, referral partners with moving companies, flooring companies, realtors, other professionals in the area. And this time of year, we're going to lean on those relationships, especially, and let it, again, be honest, let them know, hey, we're slow. We're coming into our slow season. This type of project is exactly what we're looking for. And if nothing else, it puts them, or it puts you at the top of their mind as they're out, doing their thing. Again, we do really well with that. Especially this time of year and after the holidays. That's something that can be pretty significant.
Is there anything that I think it's great? Like it's one of those things again where you can take control of your business and do something. It's an action item, which I think
Mhm.
right now, what are the action items? Like let's
Yep.
customers as referral partners. When you're talking to a referral partner, what are you telling them? Like, obviously you're honest, but do you offer them anything, or do you have a program for that? I mean, that's a whole other discussion, but um, is there any incentive for them to remember you at the end of the day? Do you guys do that?
I would say not really. So, again, like within our groups like BNI and stuff, it's usually a like, somewhat equal relationship.
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing that we try to do is provide referrals to our referral partners.
Hmm.
So when we, come and say, hey, we can really use some help here, there is a little bit of a, I don't know, I don't want to say obligation, but it's like, they feel that sense of like, oh yeah, like let me try to help you out here because you've been helping me out for a while. Um, but we don't have like a formal program. We've done some things in the past where we'll give out gift cards and things like that, and we still do that, but it's not a, um, I don't know, formal like known thing. If you give me a referral, I'm going to give you a gift card. It's more of a like, hey, thanks, that was sweet. Here's a gift card to a local restaurant or something.
Right.
How
We'll
about you
talk more
guys?
about
What
that
do you?
later. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, one thing I've taken from you is the gift card thing is interesting for introductions, like to new referral
Hmm.
partners. Let them try
Yeah.
you out, give them to a customer, give it to their mom, a friend, use it at their own house, like whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
I think that's really, really smart for introductions.
Yeah.
Um, I think too, like referral partners, um, it, it comes down to fulfilling what they need too. Like I
Hmm.
think of realtors in a lot of cases. I don't have much to give to realtors. I don't know that as painting contractors we do, but they're such valuable. They can be such valuable resources, and
Hmm.
so always rewarding them, saying thank you, being generous and gracious.
Yeah.
I think is expected. You need to do that. So
Yeah.
don't forget to still appreciate your referral partners. And um, we've we use something called the referral tree, which is just like
Hmm.
a concept of who are your referral partners and how are you watering that relationship and what are you doing and how you're reaching out. No more, so much value this time of year. It's like to
Hmm.
see it visually and to really engage with that as to like, who did I not say thank you to recently?
Hmm.
Who have I not appreciated? Who have I not connected with? Like it's really that goes a long way. I think at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about. I like, that thought there is right. Like sometimes it's just reaching out to say thanks,
Mhm.
as opposed to like asking for specific things. I do think there is a time and a place to ask. It actually just reminded me, a guy we both know, John, who owns Classic Painting in Columbus, Ohio.
Mhm.
I was down there visiting with them, probably around the holidays last year, and they have this thing where they do like it's like a full paint can full of local homemade cookies,
Hmm.
and they've got like the wrap on there with their logo, and the owner and the sales rep, and I don't know, probably a couple other people. They have a list of, I don't know, let's say 50 people,
Mhm.
past clients and referral partners and people like that, and they drive around and they're just go in, they say hi, they go to their door and whatever, give them a thing of cookies, They say that it's like one of the best things they do. They get a ton of referrals and leads from this. And it's like, it's gotten to the point where if they don't bring somebody their cookies, they're calling them up like, hey, we haven't seen you guys. We're waiting for our cookies here. And they're pretty good. I'll be honest with you. I
They
may have
must
had
be
one or
good.
two when I
Yeah,
was down there.
if you get those kind of requests. If
Yeah.
you're getting cookies from me,
So,
they're going to be burnt and probably stale.
yeah, you don't
No,
want me
no further
baking, but
requests. Yeah, it's
so,
they
yeah,
have to wonder whether it was like a personal attack at the end of the day if I give them cookies.
yeah,
So
for
keep
sure.
McDonald's
Yeah.
cookies.
Yeah, no, I'll eat. I'll partake in the eating of the cookies, and yeah, but I don't want to be part of the baking. So,
No, me neither. No.
but yeah. So anyway, so I mean, that
Well,
might be that might give somebody a good excuse though, right? Just to go and say thanks and whatever, see them in
totally.
person and stuff.
That's what it is. You shouldn't need an excuse, but at the end of the day, there's lots of people we haven't thanked, and to just to go out with that kind of like,
Hmm.
I may have forgotten to thank you, but I don't. We don't want to take you for granted.
Yeah,
It's a great thing to do
for
at
sure.
this time of year. So
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
let's let the overview of all this continue. Let's move on to number four.
let's do
And
it.
number four, it's that immediate return marketing.
Hmm.
So, um, so yeah, when we talk about that, immediate return marketing, what's coming to mind for you?
Yeah, yeah, I think we're starting to get down to it now, right? So, these are when most people are thinking about like, how do I get more leads? They're
Hmm.
thinking about marketing. They're thinking about like, where should I put my money? Google and Facebook and this, that, and the other thing, and TikTok or I don't know, whatever all the cool kids are doing, right?
Right.
So, not me. Um, we do like some branding stuff, right? So we do some TV commercials. We've tried some radio commercials for us. They didn't work great. Um, I know we both have friends that do billboards and different things like that. Those can be great things. I don't think that is where we should be focused this time of year. I think we need to be focused on like what's going to get the phone to ring as soon as possible.
Hmm.
Um,
So
I think
what
we
fits
could,
that category? Like when you
yeah,
think
I
about,
think it's going to be, you know, go where people are looking. So the first thing is going to be Google.
Mhm.
Um, let's hang out here for a minute. I think there's a lot of different parts of Google. But when somebody's looking for a painting company and they don't have a, referral or their favorite painter yet, they're going to go to Google and look for, painters near me type searches.
Mhm.
Um, I think, Google ads can work. What we have seen at Textbook is Google ads are becoming more and more expensive and are working less and less throughout this year, but even over the last couple of years. It's becoming more and more of a struggle, but especially this year.
Mhm.
I know you guys do some Google ads. What are your thoughts on that?
They're great, but it really depends on who's managing it and their
Mm-hmm.
expertise level. Um, we've got it really dialed in, and we have for years, and the person we have is really good, but that's hard to find. It's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to find, and so, um, but outside of ads, I mean, Google ads work for some businesses, not for others. Like you're saying, there is other elements of Google that
Mm-hmm.
you can be focused on, especially when things are slow. Like local service ads, I think is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What are some other areas that come to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think the local service ads, we were talking about that before, especially for the businesses in the United States. There's
Hmm.
still a lot of painting companies that aren't taking advantage of that. It's relatively new. This is where Google wants us to be. It is like the top search result when, on most searches, it's the first thing that you're going to see when looking for painters in the area. It's can be a little confusing. I don't want to. We can do a deep dive on this maybe in the future or whatever, but it's not that complicated. Local business is they'll have to sign up under the handyman category. But then once you do that, you don't have to accept all the different service types. You don't have to go fix people's plumbing issues and things like that. You can select interior and exterior painting, or just one of them if you want. And those are the only things that Google is going to show you for. Um, the business owner and some of the people in the business have to go through a background check. And yeah, it's great. I mean, Google actually guarantees, I think it's up to $2,000 for homeowners or, for the client if there is an issue.
Hmm.
So there is like some, more significant legitimacy to the whole thing. It's really Google's answer to Home Advisor and Angie and some of those companies that have really built, humongous brands off of Google. And call what it is. Google wants to get in on that and start making some money. And right now, since it's still relatively new, it's pretty cheap. It's one of our best marketing sources this year. And businesses that aren't taking advantage of it should really look into it.
So yeah, being from Canada, we don't have this available to us right now. It's available for other industries. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
handyman or painting element. The question I have for you is somebody who's feeling it right now, that stress,
Mm-hmm.
like how long does this take to set up if you're not on it?
I think it's pretty quick. The background check does take a little bit of time. I
Mhm.
don't, it's, it has been a little while since we set it up, so I don't want to misspeak, but I remember it being like weeks more, it's weeks, not months. So was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks, something in there? Um, Obviously it's up to the business owner to get all their stuff turned in. You have to prove that you're, legally allowed to do business, send in like the insurance form and, registration form and stuff like that. But it's all relatively easy to do. Yeah, not too complicated.
Okay, so something you could get up and going in the next couple of weeks, kind of thing.
For sure. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Google's constantly tweaking it. I saw that there was a big update to that program, even like within the last week or two.
Right.
And so, yeah, this stuff's changing quickly. Even if it's not, going to get you leads this month, it's going to help you next month. That famous phrase or whatever, like the best time to have planted the tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. And I think it's very relevant there. Definitely
Totally.
something. I think that's one of the if anybody listening to this is not on local service ads, that would be one of the big action items. Like go do that today. Go do that this weekend as soon as possible.
Start that up. So I think the other areas too, like, Google services, like making sure your services are all up, making sure you've got
Sure.
images, making sure that your Google My Business account is really, rocking, that it has the
Mm-hmm.
information it needs.
Yep.
Those types of things are, I keep coming back to this. It's just like, what can you do now?
Mm-hmm.
Get that on your list of to-dos, go and make that happen. It's a couple hours. It's not gonna maybe generate per se a result immediately, but these are
Mm-hmm.
things that like set you up for success in a week or two. And it should be all done. And so if it's a little slow, put that on the list of things to do. Anything else you'd add there?
Yeah. Get reviews, right?
Get
Anything
reviews.
on that Google business profile is huge.
Hmm.
There's a lot. I like it's one of these things that I really like to geek out on and study is Google business profile because if done well, it really is free.
Hmm.
It can be a huge driver to our businesses. There's a lot of um, stuff I've read that, there's a lot of parts of your business profile that don't help you to rank better, but they do help you to convert better. So when somebody sees your profile, having those great photos and having the full profile, questions on there, different things like that are all going to help you convert better. And that's a big part of this, right? There's fewer people looking for our services. So if
Hmm.
somebody clicks on our profile, let's make sure that they actually, give us a call or go to the website or whatever, action item we want them to take.
Totally. Hey, quick
Yep.
question for you. And I don't have any experience with this, and we didn't talk about this beforehand or not, but you mentioned Angie's List, you mentioned like Home Advisor. Have you used this stuff? Like, is that also a good place to go? Or like,
Yeah.
I see a lot of questions online
That's a,
about it, so I'm not sure.
yeah. So we have used it. I mean, Angie's List less so. Now Angie owns Home Advisor. It's all one big, thing.
Happy family. It's a big happy family.
Happy family, kind of like the mafia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think the mafia is probably a good analogy here. I'm not a fan.
Mhm.
It's a pretty, I don't know, bad business model, but it can serve a purpose. I do think in short term, it's almost like I don't know, medicine or something where it's like, man, I don't want to have to take medicine forever, but hey, I've got an acute problem. I need some leads this month.
Mhm.
Um, I think I think it would be, um, prideful as a business owner if I'm saying like no to something that could help my business.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, it's not, I hope I don't have to get there. I don't like giving them my money, and because ultimately, when I give them my money, I'm then competing with them for Google Ads and
Mhm.
SEO and all of the things that I'm spending my other money on. So that's the challenge.
Yeah, I think I mean, my feeling on it has always been that it's been um, immediately lumps me in with every competitor out there who's
Mm-hmm.
also doing the same thing versus
Mm-hmm.
Google Ads where you have a bit more control of spend and that kind of thing to be,
Mm-hmm.
stand out. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't have experience, so thanks for sharing. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that would be curious, especially at this time of year, being like, what do these leads look like? Are they quality? We don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
are you getting like were they quality for you when you did it?
I think some are. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like, yeah, we booked work from it. But that is part of the issue. Is you you're definitely going to get leads. Much of it is not great quality. But at this time of year, if you know are desperate, let's say, or whatever, we're starting to get desperate.
Mhm.
I'm going to take a couple bad leads if it means I'm going to get a good lead.
Right.
Um, and sometimes you have to do that. So
Right.
yeah, I do think it is an opportunity. I do think though that there are, again, serious concerns about, the types of clients that might be on there. You know, I don't think you can paint it with a broad brush and just say like everybody on Home Advisor is a, you know, low price shopper.
Mhm.
But I do think that in general, that is maybe the majority of it.
Gotcha.
But I think there are, ideal customers that want to pay top dollar that are looking on there as well.
Mhm. Interesting.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I think let's move on to number five. Point five.
Yeah.
Door to door. Worth it? Not worth it? What do you think this time of year?
It's cold out.
Depends where
That's
you
the
are. I
first
mean,
thing.
if you're listening in Florida, like, good for you. You
Oh,
made it. But
if you're listening in Florida, I just assume, you just go to the beach or something. I don't know.
yeah, as a
Um,
guy from Canada and a guy from Cleveland, I mean,
right.
you're yeah, door to door is not fun, but is it worth it? Is it effective? I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, so I've done a lot of door to door, especially when I was first getting started. And, when I was in college, used to door to door all the time. And probably the first 5 or 6 years after college running the business. Um, and, as somebody who's kind of a self professed introvert, it's, not easy. Um, but again, I don't know. It's as a business owner, like we often are doing things that we don't want to do because
Mhm,
we have to.
mhm,
Um, Door to door works. It is a good way to get leads. There are ways to do it well, and there's ways to do it poorly. Again, it's a big topic. I would say somebody that hasn't done it should just try to study a little bit on like what are the approaches and how might you be more effective with that. You got to be to the point. You got to be, you can't just if you can knock on somebody's door and are just like, "Hi, how are you?" Get you lost. It's over.
yeah, yeah,
Get to the point.
right.
Um, but yeah,
Like,
I
I
think
mean,
it can work.
yeah, it can work. I mean, and this time of year, like, I think the biggest thing is like I've said before, it's about taking control of your business, understanding where you have an action item in front of you that may lead to the next job and keeping your team employed
Mm-hmm.
and keeping your business running. And I think every business owner, that's the ultimate fear is
Mm-hmm.
like, I might be on a cliff at the end of next week and have to let everybody go. So if you don't want to
Yep,
do that, and maybe,
scary.
you want to push yourself a bit, um, this is an action item. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully those other ones that are a little bit higher are going to be able to get you what you need. But this one here, like if you have a sales rep or even yourself, you sell a job, when you're going to start work on that job, go around to the 20 houses around you. I mean, it's a
Totally.
basic concept, but at the end of the day, it's an action item that you can do that might get you that next job and push this out
Mm-hmm.
a bit. And so, um, I think one of the big things today is to
I agree.
examine this stuff and be like, look, it's not comfortable, it's not easy. You'll have to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
but man, when times get tough, the tough get going, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least I
Yep.
think someone said, was that Arnold Schwarzenegger? I don't know who said that, but anyways, it sounds like about the guy who should say something like that.
Somebody
Um,
tough said that.
somebody, exactly. So someone tough said it.
Tougher than
Um,
us.
yeah,
I agree though. I mean, I like that idea, right? It's like you can go door to door when you're just go out for hours and walk around neighborhoods. And again, I've done that, but I do like the idea, especially when it's cold out, is like, can you just go up to some of the neighbors, right? Go to 5 to 10 neighbors on each side of the house you're painting, and maybe it's whatever, day 2 or 3, and the project's going well, and hey, you've seen our truck in your neighbor's driveway over there the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a big painting project over there. Just wonder if you guys have any projects coming up. We actually have some great pricing this time of year because we're a little bit slower.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to hurt, right? And and they say no, we're not interested, and have a little postcard or flyer or something to leave. You know, Again, we would find when we used to do this, we would get about one lead an hour, on average, and they closed decently well. They are easier to sign up for, so there's a little bit less friction there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Somebody can say, "Sure, give me a quote. What does it hurt?" Right? No, it's no obligation, right? So generally, we found that those might close out a little bit lower percentage than somebody who had called us. But again, it's going to give you some control, give you some action,
Mm-hmm.
and I would encourage get your painters out there, like get the crew. There's no reason that the owner should have to go and do this all by themselves. Kind of that many hands make for little work idea. It's like, hey, if we all go knock on 5 doors and there's 4 of us, it's like, hey, we just hit 20. And if we can do that at every project, we're going to get something from it. And it doesn't take more than 10 to 15 minutes to go knock on 5 doors.
Totally. And if you can present it as something fun to do too, I mean, like, let's just go get this done quick. It's just 5 doors. After that, we'll, go hang out. I don't know what the reward is
Yeah,
really there, but
sure.
at least, be upbeat about it and excited and like, this is something that's not weird at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, make it a competition. I mean, we used to
Sure.
do,
Yeah.
competitions around this. It would we one of my favorite was, we would have like dinner, and whoever got the most leads, got to have the steak dinner, and anybody whoever didn't get the most leads, everybody else got to have like the hot dog dinner.
I
And
love that.
we'd take some fun pictures, and yeah, when you're the guy eating that big, whatever T-bone steak, and everybody else has to eat their hot dog, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. It's amazing
That's
how
hilarious.
competitive people can get with stuff like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing I'll say too about all this is that, in my experience, it's as much about getting that local branding down as well. So making sure the signs out this time of year,
Hmm.
making sure if you have a door hanger or something to put on the doors around, it's there.
Yep.
That the van or vehicle you're driving is out front, prominently
Hmm.
displayed, hopefully clean. No one likes to
Yep.
see the side all dirty over your logo.
Hmm.
Those things all matter, right? Like making sure
Hmm.
you're following your systems and showing up ready to let
Yep.
the people know you're there. Get the
Yep.
trumpets out, and so it plays with that. It's like, did you see our sign, our truck, our flag? Did you see the banner we left off Miss Jones' house? Like we're there, and we're doing a good job, and she loves us, um, and that makes the conversation easier, and you know then people know you're in the area, which helps for trust too, I think. So
Hmm.
that's the
Yep.
only thing I'd probably add there.
Yep.
Make sure it's cohesive and consistent. But I
Yep.
think you said it best too, like, looking at each job, like, turning one into three. Like, how do
Hmm.
we get get the next three customers from each job? And
Hmm.
like there's a process to that. There's a system, and I don't think it's impossible. I think it's very real that we can do that if we try, if we watch for it and
Hmm.
put forth an effort.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think it's one of those things that it's like it takes consistency.
Hmm.
Um, you go knock on doors for an hour, you might not get anybody that's interested. You might not get anybody home. And it's like it's easy to give up.
Hmm.
But this stuff does work, and it's like the next hour you might get two, and then the next hour you get none, and then the next hour you get one, and
Hmm.
then three, and it's like it's one of these things that if you put in the effort, the results do follow. They might not be immediate.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well,
Yep.
let's move on to number six. Number six of nine. We do have nine, so that's good. So we've got
A
four
few
more.
left. Okay.
Um, all right. So number six. there's things that cost a lot of money. There's also things that are free or cheap. And I think we've talked a few of them already about them already in terms of like um, just your Google ads and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Sure.
You had mentioned, Facebook community groups. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, we're talking going door to door. We're talking about the neighborhoods. One of the things that we in our society now use, to kind of keep in touch with our neighborhoods and local communities is these community groups. Um, you know, Even like the Nextdoor app, right? Stuff like that. But these Facebook community groups have been really beneficial for us over the years. We try to be involved in these, but we also try to encourage our clients, friends, family to keep an eye out. Oftentimes now when somebody's looking for a painter, that's where they go. They go to these Facebook community groups and put something in. Hey, does anybody know a good painter? Anybody know a good plumber? Whatever it might be. And showing up there as the business owner, I think that's amazing. I love to try to participate. I generally try to not spend a whole lot of time on Facebook. But when I am on there, it's like, that's what I'm looking for. If anybody's, in my local community or, things like that are looking for a painting company, I want to show up. I want to say, hey, I'm the owner. I live in the area. I would love to come over and meet with you, talk with you about your project. It's nice too because there's actually a search function within that, within Facebook, within those community groups, where you can go and search for phrases like painter and find, people that are looking for that. And maybe it was a week ago or something. They're probably still, open to getting a quote from you. So that's something that's been big for us.
Cool. All right.
Do you guys
Well,
do anything with that kind of stuff?
you know,
Not really.
we really don't, and I love hearing you talk about it because it makes so much sense. I think that there's huge value in this, and having reps on our team who are a little slower this year, giving them you know, some type of direction and seeing them run with
Mm-hmm.
it is just so important. So to put somebody
Mm-hmm.
on, Facebook community groups and be like, check this out, like take a couple hours, be be proactively seeing how this might impact your business. I mean, it just seems
Yeah.
so smart. So I
Yeah.
think, it's something I appreciate you sharing. I mean, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Um,
I think you
yeah.
can, I think there is a way to, like, as a business owner, again, it goes back to this, like, how aggressive should we be?
Hmm.
You can post on there like, hey, my name's Michael and I'm the owner of Textbook Painting and we're slow and whatever. I think you want to be careful, right? People aren't in these community groups to be sold to. But again, I do think that you can do that. I would encourage somebody to not do that when they join a group, but maybe after you've been in it for a while and you've been contributing in other ways, you don't have to just answer questions about painting. Maybe somebody's looking for a good restaurant recommendation and jump in, right? That's what these community groups are all about. But yeah, there's a lot of personal and professional value that can come from.
Great. Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's move on to number 7.
keep going.
Um, all right. I mean, we've got, where do we buy our paint? The vendors, right? Paint vendors, sales reps for paint companies, other service providers. Um, this is another action item you can do today, right? You can get in touch with those people and talk to them. In your
Mm-hmm.
experience, what are you talking to them about?
Yeah, I mean, if we're slow, our paint vendors are hurting, right? We're not buying as much paint.
Hmm.
And so I think, again, it's being honest, letting them know, like, hey, just giving you a heads up, like things are looking a little slow for December. Please keep us in mind if, you have anybody that's looking for a, painter. We love that referral. A good amount of homeowners, but especially commercial projects actually do flow through the paint vendors. And they can provide, their contractors with referrals and get you in on some of those bids. But if they don't know that you're looking, they don't know that you're maybe have availability in your schedule, um, you know, they're not going to do it. And remember, they've got a lot of painting contractors. Most of them aren't, you know, proactive in talking to their reps. Most of the time we only reach out to the reps when we've got a, paint problem. And this might be a good opportunity to, I don't know, show up to the paint store with a dozen donuts for the team that's working at the local store, and just say, hey, if you guys come across anybody that's looking for a painter, we've got some time in our schedule here the next month. We'd love to give those people a bid.
Totally. Yeah, it's super smart. It says action item for sure. I know that a lot of times now, like, the paint suppliers also have designers, and
Mm,
they're trying to help people with color. I think those people are worth reaching out to as well. And so much of it is being top of mind, right? Like, you know, they deal with, hundreds, thousands of
mhm.
contractors in your area, probably, in, my
Mhm.
area too. And um, relationships matter, right? Like, if somebody says to your paint rep, hey, do you know any painters? What's their mind doing? Like, it's probably like,
Yeah.
do I know painters? I know hundreds.
Right.
And so, oh, I really like Michael though. Like, he's a good dude, and I
Yeah.
appreciate him, and he brought us donuts, and so we should. I'm gonna just give him a call. Maybe this is a fit, maybe it's not, right? Like, and so that's yeah, so important. These activities, like, John, who you're mentioning, or other companies that I've been talking to, and it's just about activity. This time of year is about activity, the right activity, connecting, networking, and these are things. This particular person is one that people forget about a lot,
Mhm.
that has a lot of knowledge, and is going to get asked a lot about painting, especially by the person who doesn't know how this all works, right? Like, I need to get some painting done. They go into the store. Hey, I just need a couple gallons. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm painting my 4,000 square foot house. Oh, you think 4 gallons is going to be enough? Oh, maybe not. Do you think I should hire someone? Yeah. like like they are the source of those people,
For sure.
and can connect someone to a professional. So anyways, I think it's,
Yep.
yeah, super smart. Um,
I like
any,
it.
any other vendors that you found has been effective?
I mean, I don't know. That's the main thing that comes to mind. I don't know, is there anything else that you're thinking of?
I mean, I think we mentioned it earlier, like, um, there's other partners that make sense. Now, I don't know if we're going to talk about this after. Let me see. Um,
I think
yeah.
there's. I
So,
mean,
like, things like electrical, plumbing,
yeah.
that do have an impact on homes.
Hmm.
Windows, for example, these are emergency type. The windows not so much, but electrical and plumbing can be emergency situations, and
Hmm.
usually they leave you with a bit of a drywall painting issue at the end.
Sure.
Um, Plumbers aren't afraid to cut some drywall and get what needs to get done. So,
Yeah.
um, I do think it's an opportunity to build your network amongst
Hmm.
other providers that actually are going to need someone to refer.
Hmm. Sure.
Um, it's not,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you had
I think
success with
there's.
that at all, or good partnerships?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think talked about before, like the BNI relationships and stuff. One thing that comes to mind just as you're talking about that is we often hear from our insurance agent and different people like that this time of year as renewals come up and things. And again, like the more we can let people in our community know that hey, we've got good pricing this time of year, we got good availability. If you need something done quick, we can help. It might not seem obvious, but your insurance agent is probably meeting with hundreds of clients
Hmm.
this time of year, and thanking them for their business and doing all these things that we're talking about. And so they might come across somebody who just moved into a new office or is about to move in a new house or whatever, and just keeping you top of mind because you had just mentioned last week that you've got some availability. Um, you never know. You never know what might come from that.
Totally, totally cool.
Yeah.
All right, we got two more really exciting ones here. Um, Now, this one here is, there's a bunch of people out there that need work done now. And there, I think as a painting contractor, that is sometimes not obvious of who those might be. I know sometimes, in years past, I've sat back being like, man, we need a job now. Where do we go? Um,
Mhm.
and, over the years, it's become a little more clear as to who those people are. And I think this time of year, especially when it's slow, there's people out there with a need. And the two that come to mind for me are um, residential real estate agents that have listings. Now is not a great time because real estate is pretty hot in North America, but in years past, when the market's been a bit slower, reaching out to them and saying, hey, look, you have a listing. Um, any interest in getting it painted? Good lead in, especially for a relationship, but also they might, like, it might be a good idea for the
Yeah.
client. Um, and the second one is there's a lot of businesses out there who have December 31st year ends that are looking for write-offs. They're looking for maintenance on their properties. Um, I mean, as a business owner, um, Mike, when do you start thinking about write-offs? You think about it all year,
Uh,
or when does it hit you?
no, usually as we head into December there,
Yeah,
for sure.
started December. You start thinking, man,
Oh
I
yeah.
gotta spend some money. I gotta bring down these taxes. Um, it's been a pretty effective strategy to reach out to
Hmm.
maintenance managers, CFOs in some cases manage this stuff as well,
Hmm.
using LinkedIn with the urgency of like, hey, you probably have write-offs, and guess what? We can help you. Um, Write-offs needed, I guess. So um,
Yeah.
we've seen that to be an effective strategy too. Do you have experience with this at all?
No, not really. I mean, to be honest, as we were talking about pre-call, it's like those were new things for me. Generally speaking, I mean, we've done work for commercial, clients like you're talking about end of year, but it wasn't something where we were very proactive and reaching out with that thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that, and I especially love the real estate. You can easily go on, Zillow, Realtor.com and see how long a listing's been up. And you're right, most listings are barely up. It's like a day or two, and houses are selling for way too much money. But there probably are some houses still that are sitting for weeks, or maybe a month plus, and you know, quick, maybe on this grand scale of things, like relatively inexpensive paint job on the inside could make all the difference in getting that house sold.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. I think that's a great thing. And again, like, you reach out to 10 or 20, something good's going to come from it. I think that's something that we can put into play, you know, right away.
Yeah, cool.
I like
Well,
that.
yeah, that's kind of my experience has been those two have been effective, and you know, again, just it takes those action items, picking up the call. In this case, you actually have a number, you have a contact person. The
Mm-hmm.
real estate agents are fantastic at picking up the phone, typically. Um,
Yeah. That's how
so
they make money. Makes sense.
it's how they make money, right? So,
Yeah.
you can't. And at the end of the day, what's the saying? You can't make an omelet if you don't break a few eggs. Like
There you
you
go.
gotta kind of get out there, really try a little bit. I don't
Try
know if that's
something.
how does that saying actually apply here. I don't know, but anyways,
Sure. I don't know. You're making me hungry.
it is that time of the day, isn't it? So, all right. So the last point we have here is it's just overall like spend more money on marketing, but
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, we wanted to end this conversation, you and I were like, hey, I think the big question that business owners have is like, should I be spending more? Should I be cutting back? Right, man, times are getting tough. I see the revenue going down. I'm holding on to this little bit of cash I have right now. Um, should I be spending it? How should I be thinking about marketing spend this time of year?
mhm.
What are your thoughts?
Man, I've heard some really smart people talk about this for their business, and it's resonated with me, which is that you know this time of year is for me personally, and there's going to be debate about this for sure, but you know, use the bulk of your budget this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Summer, I don't know what your experience is, but we're always like swamped. We've always been
Busy.
swamped,
Yeah.
and so when you think about distributing your budget, it's like, why am I going to spend evenly in July what I spend in December when I'm stressing out? Maybe December is a bad example because
Mm-hmm.
spending money in December on marketing is there's a lot of competition for that.
Yeah.
But
Expensive.
let's call it January, February, March, or November. Like these times of year, um, and those people have got me really thinking about that critically. To be like, why don't I spend? Why don't we spend 90% of our budget over the slow
Mm-hmm.
months and 10% of our budget in the busy months,
Mm-hmm.
and rely on those like free or built up, avenues like SEO or signs, or when things are hot, don't
Mm-hmm.
use your branding more so. Whereas now we need to be really spending the money to beat out our competition. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's, marketing is an investment. I think if marketing is working well, it's going to come back. But it is scary. I mean, it's absolutely scary. Demand is down, right? Like, let's call it what it is. Demand right now is down in North America. I think for these types of services,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's local city and community is affected differently. But I think we're pretty safe to say demand is down. Demand is always down this time of year compared to maybe spring and summer in our industry. And so it's scary. And I think the easy, kind of like natural tendency is to, you know, pull in the purse strings a little bit and, spend less. Um, the nice thing though, I think, is that everyone else is doing that. In general, there's less competition, maybe on Google Ads or some of the other things that we might spend our marketing money on, which is good because that money then can go a little bit further this time of year. The challenge is there's fewer people looking. Those there's less people that are going to be clicking on your ads on Google, which in general should mean that you're spending less. But yeah, my philosophy, just like yours, now is a good time to be spending that money. We do try to save it up, kind of build up a war chest throughout the summer and in the fall. It's something that we talk a lot with our team, usually starting in August through kind of like Halloween. We do this big war on winter push, and we're, really pushing people to work overtime and get projects done. And, the way that we explain it is like every project that we get done gives us a little bit more money that we can put into that marketing war chest so that we can spend that in November, mostly January, February. We do try to skip December, just to make sure that we keep everybody as busy as possible. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, I think there's, with that discussion, there's also stages to this as well, right? Like I talk, for me, we're talking about consistency. And I think in the summer, we lose the consistency. Going back to that
Mm-hmm.
first point of like, summer it isn't too hard on us. It's more of a production issue, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we get the work done?
Yeah,
How do we, you know, not
staffing.
have a staffing? It's a staffing issue.
Right.
And I think we lose that consistency of marketing a little bit, where it's like, I've got all this work. I don't really need more work, so I'm going to stop that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, when I talk about like shifting the budget, it doesn't mean that we stop. It just means that we understand the process of our business.
Mm-hmm.
So like the ebbs and flows and the seasonality, and that like we need to be a few months ahead of this issue. Um, and I think for so many of us that's really hard because we deal with the here and now. And I've heard you say it too, Mike. Like a lot of times this business feels like a knife fight. We're just like in an alley trying to just stay alive.
Sure.
And and so to get 3 months ahead is a real challenge, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hit this wall, we hit this time where um, things are slow, and you look back and you're like, well, what was I doing 3 months ago? Like we've always found that marketing takes 60 to 90 days to really be effective.
Mm-hmm.
And what was I doing 3 months ago? Oh, not much. Okay, well, let's try to change that pattern of behavior, get ahead of it, start that spend, that war on winter that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that this doesn't happen next year. And I think that's a good kind of place to end this whole discussion is that this feeling sucks. If you're going through this right now, like you and I both have experienced this, like not having work is probably the worst part of the business itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
sales, I've heard it said before, sales solves everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, when you don't have it, you panic, you don't feel great. It feels like the world is ending. Like
Sure.
I've talked about it before, like the cliff. It's like, by next
Mm-hmm.
week, we got to let all these people go. It's stressful. And I forget that consistency and budget and being proactive, watching the numbers plays a major role in our success. And it's not just going to happen without action, without taking action, being consistent, looking at those things that are ahead of us and saying, like, we're going to get through this. Here's the 10 action points we're taking in order. Like, kind of like you're in a war,
Mm-hmm.
let's start soft and
Do
move to
something.
like the big cannons here. Um, and so, yeah, I think there's a way through this, and it's important to remember this pain for next year,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately. I
For
don't know.
sure.
I've been
Yeah, no,
rambling
I
now.
agree.
What do you think about that?
100% agree. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing. It's, we talked about it at the beginning. It's taking action. You mentioned that a minute ago. I think that's the big thing. Is now is not the time of year to, you know, relax, if you will. I used to think that. I used to remember, as a younger, in multiple ways, business owner, uh, people would, like, I would think like, oh man, once we get to the slow season, we're going to get all these projects done. I'm not going to have to, I'm not going to be so busy. We're going to work on all this other stuff. And, what I've realized is that now is the busy season. As a marketing, as like marketing and sales focused person, whether, as a business owner, that's what I'm focused on, as a sales rep, or whatever your role might be, like this is the busy season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might have fewer, bids to go on, but you need to be busier this time of year. Now, in my opinion, is not the time of year to, kind of play on your heels or whatever. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? We got Thanksgiving coming up. I'm going to take a couple of days off and, take a little bit of time off around Christmas because there's no only so much we can do, right? We're not knocking on doors on Christmas Eve. Things like that. Let's not be ridiculous here. But as we get into January, it's go time. It is action time. And then when we get to the summer, everybody else is busy around here, and that's usually when I'm honestly, working a little bit less. I'm going to take a Friday off in the summer. Maybe a lot of Fridays off in the summer. But when it gets to winter, it's like you're going to find me working my butt off on a Saturday, doing marketing activities and doing anything I can to make sure that our team is busy.
Yeah.
And I think, I always feel better when I'm taking action. I know a lot of times it doesn't work, but at least I feel like there's a possibility of something good happening.
Totally. Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. So let's maybe just recap this for everybody who's listening. The 9 things
You
that
made
can
it
be
this
done.
far, you win a prize or something.
Yeah, what do you get? You get to have a great Thanksgiving with Michael's family.
And there you go. Maybe we get
Maybe
to have a bourbon with us at PCA or something.
there you go. Yeah, awesome. All right. So number 1, follow up on all past bids. Get an answer no matter what.
Yep.
Number 2, call, email, carrier pigeon past customers. The holidays are coming. Let's make it urgent. Number 3, reach out to referral partners. Be honest with them. We're slow right now. Don't let your pride get in the way. Number 4, let's look at immediate return marketing. So cut the marketing's branding focused. Google ads, Facebook ads, flyers out, door to door. And
Yep.
number 5 is door to door, which is, go to the 20 homes around it, make sure you're present. Let's turn a job into another 2 or 3.
Yep.
Number 6, let's dial in the free cheap stuff. So make sure Google profile is set up nicely and you're involved in your community, whether it's Facebook or outside. Number 7, talk to your vendors and other service providers, network with them. And number 8, let's reach out to people who need work now. Number 9, let's evaluate our spending on marketing. Do what you feel is comfortable for you, but understand that action at this point is the most important thing you can do for your business to take back control and feel like you're in the driver's seat. So, so that's our 9 things. It's probably not all inclusive of everything you can be doing, but we hope that gives you a good start to start moving on something today. So, yeah, sweet. That's about it.
Yeah, man, spring will be here before we know it. We're going to get through this. We do every year. It's a slower time, and I think in the economy, and good times are ahead. But we got to stay positive. Got to keep working, keep moving forward.
Love it. Sweet. All right.
Good
Take
stuff.
it easy. Have a good day.
All right. See you, Jon.